Hello everyone, and welcome to Cloud OnBoard Core Infrastructure. This Cloud OnBoard is designed to give developers and IT professionals the expert insights and hands-on experience that they need to expand their skill sets and advance their careers in Google Cloud. Welcome to my home. As you can see, I'm coming to you live today, so apologies in advance if we have any technical issues. Please do bear with us. I know many of you are also working from home, so thank you for taking the time to join me here today. I know it can be really challenging to set time aside while we all work from home, and that our time is now more valuable than ever. My name is Rosie Mottram, and I'll be the host for this Core Infrastructure OnBoard session. My role is as an infrastructure modernization customer engineer, and that role is really all about helping customers get comfortable with Google Cloud technology to solve their hardest problems. So I'm really delighted to be with you to take the first steps on that journey today. Let me just take a moment to introduce my colleague, Mardi. Mardi will be delivering the training material today, and I'll be handing off to him shortly. But first, let's take a look at today's agenda. Module 1 will cover an introduction to GCP. Module 2 will focus on the compute and storage services that are available. We'll then be taking a short break and a quick quiz to test your knowledge from the first modules, and I'll be back live with you then. We then have Module 3, which will be covering containers, application development, deployment monitoring, and a number of other items as well. And finally, I'm going to tell you about where you can go next on your Google Cloud learning journey with the new knowledge and skills that you get from today's session. But before I hand you over to Mardi, I just want to talk a little bit about what infrastructure means for Google and what makes us different. So Google have focused decades on building scalable, reliable, and secure infrastructure. This focus on infrastructure innovation has allowed Google to scale the way that it has today. We now have 9 products with over 1 billion users each. In fact, you probably use a number of the applications on this slide today. When you use these applications, they fit seamlessly into our lives. They're incredibly easy to consume, and that means we don't always have to think about the underlying technology, and we maybe don't even realize that they're Google products. And this is all down to the ease of use of the products. And that's all due to the effort spent on developing the world-class infrastructure that supports them. And this focus on developing infrastructure has allowed Google to continue to keep innovating the way that it does today. By infrastructure, we don't just mean servers, we mean network, cooling, power, data centers, and all of the operational practices that go into supporting all of those components as well. But you don't need to be Google or Google scale to benefit from Google innovation. So while you may not be building the next search, YouTube, or Gmail, we want to help you understand how to use Google Cloud and Google Cloud infrastructure to help you achieve your organization's goals. And that's whether you're a 5-person startup or an organization that's over a century old with 100 or maybe thousands of employees. And that's because our mission at Google Cloud is to accelerate every organization's ability to digitally transform and reimagine their business through data-powered innovation. And that's basically what Google Cloud Platform is. It allows you to use our innovation to solve your problems and solve the issues that matter most to you. At Google, we have a proven history of using data to solve hard problems. Being data-driven is core to how Google operates today, and we know that it's also top of mind for most of our customers too. They're always asking us, how can they get better access to better data to make decisions that ultimately lead to better business outcomes? So at Google Cloud, we want to help our customers adopt cloud technology and infrastructure so that they can be more data-driven, more competitive, more collaborative and productive, improve their security posture, and of course, be more agile and able to move at a greater pace. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what makes the infrastructure underpinning this innovation different. And that starts with energy efficiency in the data centers themselves. So you may not know, but at Google, we build all of our own hardware. That includes the storage, the networking equipment, the servers, and more. And what that does is allow us to tune every piece of the puzzle and achieve maximum efficiency. And this means that our data centers typically use less than 50% energy of a traditional data center. We've also been carbon neutral since 2007, and we're the largest purchaser of renewable energy globally. But we keep continuing to push in this space. So you will have seen our recent announcement about our commitment to be carbon-free by 2030. And that means carbon-free every hour of every day of the year. And this is a really big challenge for us because carbon-free energy sources don't usually produce energy around the clock. So we're going to need to make huge investments in continuing to increase the energy efficiency of our data centers and also investing in new sources of carbon-free energy. So when you choose Google, you're helping your business meet its sustainability goals and you're reducing your carbon footprint at the same time. And speaking of investments, take a look at our global footprint. We've been investing billions of dollars in capacity and we continue to do so. We now have 24 regions with more to be announced, from Australia to South America to Northern Europe. This global footprint allows us to organize our global infrastructure in a number of ways. We have multi-regions, regions, and zones. Regions are independent geographic areas that consist of zones. Zones are independent failure domains with low latency network connectivity between them. And this organization allows us to provide Google Cloud services that are either multi-regional, i.e. running across multiple regions, regional, or zonal. And what this does is it gives you the maximum flexibility to design deployments with the latency, availability, and redundancy that you need, all while making sure it's cost effective. But to build a truly global platform and to stitch all these pieces together, the data centers, points of presence, and edge locations, you really need a global network. And that's exactly what we have. A global network of private fiber connecting all of these locations together. And we continue to invest in this too. You may have seen a recent announcement of a new subsea cable between New York, the UK, and Spain. This is the first transatlantic subsea cable to connect the US and UK since 2003. This cable will provide more capacity and more resiliency to Google Cloud and the customers that leverage it. The cable is named after the computer science pioneer Grace Hopper, who was involved in developing one of the first compilers that was critical to the development of the COBOL programming language. Not only is our network larger, but the design of it with the private fiber allows us to offer customers a unique combination of speed and reliability. And that's really important because the network matters. Most cloud providers use what's called hot potato routing. They offload traffic to the public internet as soon as possible. They want that traffic off their hands. But at Google, we don't do that. We keep that traffic on Google's private network as long as possible and exit to the public internet at the location nearest to the end user. This is usually in the same city or town due to that expansive global network that we've already spoken about. This enables us to offer better reliability, better performance, and even more security. So speaking of security, let's touch on that briefly too. Security is foundational. It's often one of the first topics of conversation when we meet with a customer. But at Google, instead of taking the traditional fortress approach to security, of securing just the perimeter, our approach can be summarized in these two words: trust nothing. There's no such thing as an inherently trusted network, no such thing as an inherently trusted user, computer, or anything. And this gives us what we refer to as the layered defense in-depth approach. Looking at the items here, network. We don't assume traffic from outside requires extra security, but that traffic from inside our data center is fine. All network traffic is inherently untrusted. Identity. We need to establish who is initiating the traffic, verify who they are and what they're trying to do. Hardware. What do we know about the computer that traffic is coming from? And this continues through operations, data, services. We apply security at every layer of the stack, from biometric scanners in our data centers to the encryption of data, even to the point where we have custom hardware inside the servers themselves that allow us to verify that a secure boot process has taken place. And this ensures that the servers on our network have not been tampered with. So we apply security at every layer of the stack, and we apply multiple measures at every layer. For example, we were the first cloud provider to encrypt all data at rest and in transit. We even offer customers the opportunity to encrypt data using an external key manager. This means that you can rest assured knowing that your data can't be decrypted without your knowledge. And similarly to the other areas, we're investing huge amounts in our security products and features. We've recently gone a step further and introduced confidential VMs. These are VMs with encrypted memory. Speaking of compute, we have a range of compute offerings built on the foundational infrastructure components that we've discussed today, from VMs to serverless compute to GKE, the most mature managed Kubernetes service on a public cloud. But I don't want to touch too much on compute because I'm about to hand off to Mardi, and Mardi's going to be introducing the Cloud on Board today with a session about compute. So with that, I'm going to say, enjoy your training, make the most of it, and I'll be back with you during the break for the Q&A. Good luck.